right, folks, thank you for joining the Office of Undergraduate Research, the UROP Mentor Orientation. We're so excited to have you all here and want to thank you all for your commitment to mentoring undergraduate researchers. We really can't do the work without all of you. As a friendly reminder, this event is virtual and being recorded, so please mute yourself and turn off your camera to ensure the optimal experience. I can't really see you all, so it's okay if I don't see you. And then we'll invite you back in when we make it a conversation and if you really want to be seen. If you have questions, please use the chat feature or unmute when invited. And Cindy, please let me know because I'm working from home. So sometimes my Wi-Fi can go in and out. So Cindy, please just simply unmute yourself if I suddenly start sounding robotic or you're unable to hear me. Um, as you all know, the Office of Undergraduate Research is committed to facilitating and promoting undergraduate research, student and faculty collaborations across the disciplines, and that we acknowledge that this land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is a traditional homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes, and the university recognizes and respects enduring relationships that exist between Indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. My name is Dr. Annie Isabel Fukushima. I've probably met many of you, and if this is our first time in a Zoom room together, welcome, welcome. I apologize if I don't recognize you in person. I find translating everyone from a flat screen to 3D is actually sometimes really difficult since we're all taller and we look a little bit difficult, except I'm not that much taller. I'm pretty short. We're so excited to have you here. I do want to have Cindy Greaves go ahead and introduce herself. She'll be the person that you'll hear a ton from, more so than me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Greaves. I'm the Associate Director in the Office of Undergraduate Research. I also manage the UROP program, so you've probably received some emails from me, but please reach out with any questions you might have.
So yes, if Cindy sends you an email, please know it's probably important. So please do respond to it. Don't shelve that into the rubbish or wherever box. It's probably an important email. We also may have communications come from other members of our team, such as Shelley Parker, who's our events manager, Angie Leva, who runs summer programs, and our outreach coordinator, Bradley DeBoer, and Sarah Cody, who does our scholarships programs. We're also supported by our undergraduate research leaders who sometimes reach out to our faculty in a spirit of collaboration. So just as an overview, is we're going to talk about the quick overview of undergraduate research mentoring opportunities for faculty and mentoring Europe scholars, and some of the summer programming for Europe scholars that is happening this summer. There's a lot of exciting things going on. Um, before we get into the overview, I would love you to, this is an activity, please don't hit the submit button. Just type into the chat box, which you'll find in your Zoom feature. You'll see that little icon that looks like a chat. Just click on that and then just get ready to hit submit, and I'll let you know when we hit submit, and then it'll be a waterfall of text of everybody's text coming through. So please think of a phrase that briefly, or just, I'm sorry, I need to edit this a little bit. Describe one positive win you've had with undergraduate research mentoring recently. Just look at the bolded one. The beginning part, don't worry about it. Describe one positive win you have had with undergraduate research mentoring recently. So go ahead and type that into the chat. Don't hit submit, just hold on to it, and then we'll all do it at one time together. So one positive win you have had with undergraduate research mentoring recently. All right. On the count of three, you're going to hit submit, and we're all going to go ahead and hit submit. So 1, 2, 3, submit. Wonderful. So let's just take a look at this. How fun was that? So, yes, a win is connecting with a student accepted to an MD or PhD programs. That's huge. We love it when they go on to graduate school. Stay in school as long as you can. How cool. Developing improved collaboration, being awarded a Europe is a win in itself. Thank you for that. Yes, we think of that as a win too. Students presenting at professional conferences. That's wonderful. Multiple folks doing that. This is the first time for one of our colleagues for having a Europe in the lab. That's wonderful. And Let's see. Breakthrough in their artistic voice. How cool is that? Do you mean singing voice? Is that what that means? Or is some other voice? That sounds really exciting. We love when research extends into multiple fields. Helped a student hold themselves accountable for work they had promised the team they would complete. Yes, account like those small wins. That's wonderful. And here, this person had an undergrad who was able to master basic protamic skills that they'll perform in their lab and submit an abstract. Wow, how cool is that? I don't even know what that is. They're doing more than what my field does. My field's very different as a faculty administrator, but super awesome. Thank you all for sharing that. We love hearing about your wins. And one of the things we want to let you know is you will get communications from the office. Not only about our annual report, but if updating us about your students, we really do love to promote the success of your students. So please do share it with us whenever you know that. So you can either fill out that form or just send us an email. We love knowing about the success of your students. And so we know that undergraduate research matters. You're already indicating that with seeing the decisions your students are making about their careers. Our retention towards completion with our undergraduate research office is phenomenal. And so we know that 90% of UROP scholars graduate in 4 years, which is wonderful rates compared to the rest of the university. We are getting students towards graduation because having mentoring experiences is what helps to build that community connection and meaningful sort of, relationship that they have to your fields, that science identity, as well as they're making determinations about their futures. And do I want to do this thing? Maybe I don't want to do this thing, but that's still meaningful. We also know that 80% of our students who are funded by the office land a job within a year of graduating. And so we just want to share these kind of trends in case if you're applying for grants. I do share information and can always do a letter of support or collaboration for you for a grant application because the truth is we can't fund everyone. So if you're going after your own funds, see my office as a collaborator, and you can reach out to me about receiving that letter of support or collaboration. We know that mentoring and the mentoring that you all are doing is relational, developmental, and it has different kinds of phases and transitions. We saw that in your chat, the different kinds of mentoring that you're doing, both for thinking about students in their careers, as well as you're getting students to think about their kind of accountability. So those day-to-day professionalisms, and that you're doing a range of it. Some mentors here are doing more informal, individual. Some are doing a group-based ones, collaborative, multi-level. All of the mentoring is happening. But we know that what you are doing is not one way or coaching, and that you are also getting a ton out of it. So we know that having a Europe Scholar benefits faculty and other mentors in a team. Oftentimes our mentees will be co-authors on papers and presentations. So please don't forget to add them to your CV and elements. And that we know that this is also part of your teaching, where many of you are mentoring as a form of teaching, really helping students develop those skills of thinking like a researcher, metacognition, feeling belonging, and your scaffolding experiences, as well as fostering undergraduates into a pipeline of your field. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about opportunities for faculty. One of the things I want to remind you about, Cindy sent an email about this. If you did not get it, please just send her a message and she'll bump it your way. Sometimes those emails can get lost in a spam or what have you. But you all now, if you have not already been listed, is you should be listed as faculty affiliates. If you do not see yourself on our webpage after mentoring a Europe, just go ahead and fill out that form. Cindy will go ahead. Cindy, can you plop in the link to the form in chat? You can go ahead and fill out that form and update your profile. Check it out. And Cindy will also share the faculty affiliates page so you can actually see how it is that you actually are appearing as well. So how students find you is under the faculty mentors. So this second link right here, this is where they really find you and you'll see your profile being updated. So Cindy, if you can go ahead and put those 3 links in there for folks to go ahead and check it out and update it. And so please, if you also want to have the office give a presentation, oftentimes Bradley will do those as our outreach coordinator. So you can always make a request. And we want to encourage you to add into your curriculum and mentoring students our educational series content. So what you'll see here is, oops, cancel, wrong one. I'm going to go ahead and you will see here on our website is many of you've probably been to our website, and so you probably have seen it. But just in case, we just want to remind you about a lot of the resources that we provide. So you'll see here our education series really has a ton of dynamic content. Cindy, are you still able to see that, the education series?
Yes.
Great. So when you visit the education series website, that Cindy will drop that link in there as well. So Cindy, if you can drop that in there for them. So all those three links, the faculty affiliates, as well as the faculty mentor, as well as the education series link, is that you'll see that here you can access a range of content that you can share with your mentees. So if you have a mentee who's having issues with abstract writing, you'll find, oops, sorry, I made a little typo there, is that you'll find that you can walk them through searching this education series that I think has now over 80 video content, and you'll see that there's all kinds of resources for them to even if you want to know what's based in science and what have you, so more specific to your fields and all of that. So just want to make sure that you're all very much aware of that. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab these links for folks. Oh, no, Cindy got it. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get back to it. So still looking at my slides, right, Cindy?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so those are some of the opportunity for our faculty that we want to remind you about. We also want to just share with you this link that was presented to the VPR Town Hall. We know that we're dealing with a sea of change with federal shifts in priorities of what's getting funded and what's not. And so we did I did do a presentation to the VPR Town Hall. If you're interested in getting updated on what was shared about how to support undergraduate researchers in that sea of change, you can jump to slide 30, and Cindy will go ahead and also share this link with you in the chat. And you're welcome to check out that presentation. If you're applying for grants, as a reminder, reach out. I'm happy to provide that letter of support, letter of collaboration, whatever you need. Depends on the kind of grant and funding source. We want you to be successful. I also do share basic de-identified data, especially if that would help strengthen your application. So you can always reach out to me, schedule a meeting. If you are going to use the infrastructure of the Office of Undergraduate Research to strengthen your application, I do like to know how you're utilizing and leveraging what we do, so we are aware of how you're going to unfold. For example, your students presenting at our undergraduate research symposia, or your students attending our educational series and so forth like that. We also want to remind you, which Cindy will put into the chat, our OUR opportunity database. This is a dynamic database for faculty that is searchable for you to post an opportunity. Undergraduate researchers can find opportunities with faculty. It also shows them if it's funded or not funded. And so if it's not funded, we really encourage you to have your students apply for UROP or consider having them do it for course credit. Those and give them the options available that you might have available. Again, that's departmental specific. Not all departments are able to provide them, for example, independent study. And so just really talk candidly with your mentees once you've recruited them through our database. Once it's posted, then my team makes a social media asset, recirculates it, posts it through our social media across platforms, also shares the social media with you for you to also share with your networks. And so we really do encourage you to share that with your mentees. And Cindy, the box link is not working for some reason in the chat. It's a picture of it. Okay, so we're going to keep going on. Cindy will share the database in a second, and if you want to check that out. One thing we just want to remind you about is that there are many opportunities with the Office of Undergraduate Research. We encourage you to share the opportunities with grants with your mentees, and so you'll find those here. As well as we have scholarship opportunities that we encourage you to also share with your mentees. So I'll just go ahead and put those in for you. We also have our award ceremony, and we just encourage you to be nominated as well as nominate your mentees. So lots of opportunities for faculty as well. We've made our website really easy to navigate. And so please know that there's all of the buttons are intended to think about our students as they enter what is the most important information for them. They always have questions about getting started. They always have questions about find a mentor. They also always have questions about how to fund their research as well as the opportunities on campus. So we just want you to know that this is very accessible to students across campus, across all of the colleges. So you're mentoring Europe Scholars. We want to thank you again for doing this work. And so I would love you to do the waterfall activity again. And so if you can go ahead and put in the chat, what is an example of an effective strategy you employ to mentor Europe Scholars? So go ahead and put it in chat, and when I count to 3, we'll hit submit. All right, on a count of 1, 2, 3, submit. All right, co-constructing a flexible and dynamic timeline for their projects and checking in. Thank you, Rebecca, for that. That's wonderful. Greg says milestone planning. It's okay. I hope I'm calling you all by your first name. Tom says, what skills would they like to acquire? Great. So asking them. Inclusion in research team meetings from Rhonda. Frederick says, encourage value for creativity. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name and I don't want to say it wrong. It says frequent face-to-face discussions and talk about research. And I think I also don't want to say your name wrong, is the buddy system. Pair them with an experienced person in the lab who is excited to teach them. So thank you all for sharing. You all have lots of effective strategies of both building community as well as and really supporting and fostering that research independence that is the ultimate goal, as well as planning. And so I think, and thinking about timelines. So that's really great. So really appreciate you. So as a friendly reminder, your students are paid $1,200 in a taxable stipend for 120 hours of work during one semester. And so what this looks like and how this breaks down is really up to you. They receive their paychecks when everyone on campus is receiving their paychecks. So this $1,200 is broken into, and Cindy, can you remind us how many paychecks?
This semester, I believe they're going to get 5 equal payments.
Great. So Cindy is boss when it comes to getting your students paid. So if your student's like, hey, I haven't received my money, well, you should just have them reach out to Cindy because Cindy has already given them information on how to receive their paychecks and all of that. But as far as breaking that time down, it's really going to be between you and your mentee. So technically, I am on the back end, the supervisor of all the students. If, say a worker, a student gets injured on the job, Title IX issues develop and all of that, you really should be pulling the office in for any concerns related to that. But the day-to-day and all of the research dynamics and all of that's happening is you. You are the research supervisors. And so one of the things we want to remind you, if you want to have your students apply for and be considered very competitively for a Europe renewal, this is not guaranteed, but the deadline is June 5th, 2025. It's highly encouraged your mentees apply for this as well as the scholarship opportunities. Cindy has already informed your mentees about the pay schedule, their stipend, two-factor authentication, the EIPAA and schedule documentation, as well as withdrawal process, working with mentors, receiving support, and other logistics and connection to resources and requirements. So your student mentees have received a ton of information from Cindy. It was also recorded. They can also go back and rewatch that meeting if they forget information. And it also is information that they have received in an email from Cindy. So Cindy has shared this with them all the many ways. So please know your mentees have received tons of information. But
Actually,
please do.
Annie, student orientation is this Thursday, but they still have
Oh,
a lot of email information.
so they will receive this on Thursday. Thank you for that, Cindy. Usually we have this after. Thank you for reminding me. Timeline has shifted for this summer. So they will receive it, and Cindy goes over all this stuff because Cindy's wonderful. And she even knows when it's happening. So thank you for that update, Cindy. But one of the things we want to remind you, which Cindy's going to share this template, is that we want to remind you about setting clear expectations. This is not legally binding, folks. These are undergraduates who may, for the first time, this may be their first job, or they may be managing and juggling a full schedule of courses, as well as managing other jobs and all of that. And so having clear expectations is really important in helping them to think about what are they, that accountability. And also just know that oftentimes when we create expectations, these are living documents. They can always be amended. And we want to encourage you to revisit your timelines. Your students did need to, for their Europe application, submit a timeline, but we know that time has changed. And so things may have shifted. So please revisit those timelines that they submitted, schedule out regular checkpoints, as well as discuss even your communication style. And so we highly encourage this. And so just want to encourage all of that. Before I continue on, does anyone have questions as I'm moving forward in this? We have lots of expert mentors, and so I know you all know this stuff, but it doesn't hurt to have a refresh and a reminder of some of the things you might be doing. And we've also updated our template for expectations. And I've learned that actually I was just in the mentoring training. I was helping to facilitate that one of the sessions in the School of Medicine is that they have different kinds of perceptions around writing expectations depending on their field and all of that. I do find for the undergrads, it really does help build accountability and clarity on things. And so I know some of our colleagues, I see Cindy First has joined, and I know that some of them also have like total Canvas pages set up for their mentees. And so there's lots of models for setting up clear expectations. All right, we're going to keep moving on. And so you also have agreed to things. Cindy's going to just remind you of our Europe page, and she's going to plop the Europe page in there. When you go into that page, as a reminder, is that you've agreed to all these things to support a student, mentor them, ensure that they're appropriately certified. That varies by field, as well as reinforce OUR policies, which includes they are required to present at our undergraduate research symposium and submit an end of semester final report, and that they are to acknowledge the support of the office in any work that is disseminated, whether it is at a presentation or publication, and that you are to devise a schedule for your mentee, as well as a review bi-monthly emails that come from Cindy. You might find that they're a little bit repetitive, but you know what? It's because we just want to check in every bi-monthly. Cindy wants to know, how's it going? And feel free to send us good news. Things going great. Cindy loves to receive good news. And also, if there are any things you're not sure about and you want to troubleshoot, it's not like you're tattletelling on your student. We want to know how we can support you. So please do let us know if something's going awry, and we can maybe suggest a resource, or in other times, we can also help intervene if you feel like having the office support your student would help. And we might do that for a range of reasons. And that varies across campus. Serve as a reviewer at the Undergraduate Research Symposium is all optional, and we welcome you to do that, and all of that. So just wanted to remind you of things that you already said you would do. So thank you for hitting that checkbox, saying I agree to all these things. I just want to remind you you agree to it. One thing we want to check in about, because summer is always fun, people travel, right? We're not going to stop you all from your traveling, because you know what? You have travel, right? And not everyone is paid for 12 months out of the year. Some folks are on a different model of pay. But we do want to remind you that your students, as student employees of the U, are actually required to be in state. And so if you are traveling, keep in mind those dynamics. And if your student is working remotely, they do have to fill out a remote. Cindy, can you remind them the name of that remote thing that they have to fill out? If you can unmute yourself, there you go.
Oh, I don't have that with me right now.
Okay, well, there's a remote form, and that's okay if your student is going to be remote, but they are supposed to be in state. So if for any reason you and your mentee have agreed, then that does need to be filled out since they will be employees of the university. So reach out to Cindy if you do have that expectation of your mentee. We're not asking that of you, your faculty, and maybe we have some graduate students, mentors, and postdocs. But it is for the mentee who's employed by the office. And so some of the considerations is to think about feedback loops and supporting that mentee if you do plan to travel, who's connecting with them on site if something happens, and if you are happen to be out of touch with your email just for a moment. Sometimes I notice that's always when the urgent communications come in, is always when suddenly my email is off. And so just make sure you have all of that set up if you plan to travel. We don't want to stop you from that, but we also just want to remind you about that. Does anyone have questions about that? Okay. You can just unmute yourself at any point. And if not, I'm just going to keep moving on. You can also use a chat feature and ask your questions. Um, some tools, we've shared this in other presentations, and we will reshare it with you here, is there is an alignment tool by the Argonne National Lab. And so you are welcome to look at that alignment tool if you're interested in it. And Cindy's already shared with you the mentor agreement. So she'll go ahead and share with you the this alignment tool with the Argonne National Lab. These are just tools, not requirements. So we've already talked about acknowledging the office, and we've already talked about the end of semester report. We also send you one, and we like this information, and we just want to remind you is that this information is anonymized and annually reported out, and it helps us to show that, in fact, we are effective at what we do, or where our students are at based on the faculty perception. And so we report out both the student anonymized data as well as the faculty. And so we do encourage you to also fill out the survey. We know it comes in a time sometimes when folks are traveling or you're like, I'm done, semester over. And so we understand that. And so we encourage you to get it in on time, but we also welcome it at any point. So feel free to submit it late as well. We will accept the survey. There are a range of resources, and so we want to actually, I'm going to go ahead and open up this page. If it opens up, yep. Okay, there we go. We do have a current scholars resource page. You can find it by selecting on the OUR menu, and then you'll see that we have here resources and current scholar resources. And I'll take you to this lovely page with, look at that, all the stuff we talked about is right here. It also has other resources, and if your students have summer funds they want to be involved in, we also list some summer stuff there. As well as general resources and information about payment that Cindy has gone over with your mentees. So there is lots of information there. So just wanted to walk you through that and then go back to my slides. There we go. So I think you saw our website, right, Cindy? Did you all see my website?
Yes.
Great. Okay, good. All right, so we're back to now the slides, and we're going to just continue on because we don't need to make this a long meeting. But we are going to go ahead and just remind you about campus resources. Cindy will share this afterwards, and so she's not going to share this all right now. But there is mental health resources. We want to remind you, your mandated reporters. There is case management support as well as student success coaches, disability access and accommodation, as well as there is Office of First Gen. So a range of resources for your students. We encourage you to encourage them. So I'd like to pause now if there are any questions or tips you'd like to discuss for supporting your mentee this summer. So let's just go ahead. You can either use a chat feature or you can simply unmute yourself. Any questions that you're sitting with or tips you'd like to offer to other colleagues? I'm going to stop screen sharing so we can just stare at each other. Cindy, I see you are already unmuted and maybe you may never have muted yourself, but I know you have tons of tips. Do you have any tips you'd like to share? Because Cindy is a returning mentor.
Oh, well, okay. I just hadn't muted myself, but I
Yeah.
do love using Canvas to organize all of these resources because I can never keep track of them. And our college has safety training, and our department has safety training, and there's other safety training, and I need ethics training, and besides, I need training on how to make posters. And so I did make just a Canvas page, the kind that doesn't go away at the end of the semester. And I just add a student to it. I have like a section of required trainings, and then I have a set of optional stuff, which is just like things they find useful. And this has saved me so much time, it's not even funny. I'm getting ready for my lab safety review in about 20 minutes, and you have to verify that students have safety training, and this has been my thing. So I don't know. If anybody wants it, they're welcome to email me, and I'll be glad to, add you as a teacher. You can copy over, or at least take a look at it. It just make my life easier.
Yeah. Anyone want to share tips or any other or questions? Who is a first-time mentor in the Zoom room? You can raise your digital hand or you can put it in. Oh, wonderful. Yes. So does that mean everyone else is a returning mentor and you love our Europe workshops that you just keep coming back again and again for the same info? This is wonderful. Uh,
I'm new as well.
oh, Cynthia's new.
Yeah.
Great. Tom's new. We've got Elisa and Amit. Robert is new. And is that Fergil? I don't know how to say your name. Fergil. Fergil. Okay, great. I said it right the first time. Great. Wonderful. So we have some new mentors. No judgment. We all have to start somewhere, don't we? With the Europe program. And then after that, you just keep getting more and more. So it's great. And so any questions from our new folks that you want to ask our veterans or even me? I love talking. No, their minds are blown. I just went through the slides that you were like, totally know what I'm doing. Done. We're great. I'm going to dive right into mentoring. No questions. How do we track the number of hours? That's a great question. So tracking number of hours, Cindy shares with your mentees a handout that they can use to track their hours, but that is between the mentor and the mentee. OUR isn't going to be involved in that. Your student is going to receive the stipend. We recommend you use some form of tracking, whether it's an Excel sheet or this a handout that Cindy created, because it actually, if your student is, it helps you to kind of sense where they're at, and also if they are fulfilling their minimum, right? But it's up to you if you don't want to use it, if you don't think you need it, and it's more like I tend to work more based on tasks, and so I'm more focused on my students accomplishing tasks week by week. And so we meet weekly and then we'll just see where they are in those tasks. And if they're making good progress, no worries there. But if they're not, then we kind of figure out how do we get you on track. And so it just varies by the mentor-mentee relationship and the kind of project and the kind of team. So we don't want to tell you how to keep track of hours. It only becomes really beneficial if there is an issue. And so, and Cindy just shared the OR, the schedule tracker, the hour tracker. But again, not required. You do your thing. If you want to use it, you can use it. You're not required to use it. These are just suggestions. Um, all right. Any other questions or tips? How about our veterans? I called Cindy on because she was unmuted, so sorry about that, Cindy. But any other veterans want to share advice because you have done this many times?
I can speak up for a little bit. I have had two previous Europe mentors who went through two cycles each of funding, which was really great. I guess my only tip, and I'm not an expert at this, is just being very active with them. And I think somebody else mentioned just checking in. I think it was you, Annie, just checking in weekly or having some sort of a schedule for them so that they don't get lost or they don't feel like it gets too long and then it's overwhelming, just taking it chunk by chunk. But I do also have a question.
Sure, please.
Um, and I've done this a couple times, so it's a little embarrassing, but I've had both of
No.
them reapply. And I think my understanding of reapplying is that sometimes, with the best intentions laid out, we have this project and a really nice proposal, and they get through some of it, but they don't get through all of it. And so I've encouraged my mentees to apply because I want them to finish and get to a really nice point, an end point, and be able to present their work. But I'd love to know more from you about like what are the ways that we can identify if our mentees should reapply. I know that you said that it was really a great idea to encourage them to, but are there any like advice you can give us? Because I know June 5th is coming right up and all of our mentees are just getting started. So I'd love to know more about like that process and reasons that we'd want to encourage them to think about another semester.
That is a great question. And actually, we had to, bump up the timeline a little bit earlier because of HR. So this isn't OUR wanting to make things difficult. This is HR is now, we're doing so many hires with them that they're actually getting slightly overwhelmed in processing things. So to ensure we can hire students in a timely fashion, we had to move up our deadlines because what happens with Europe is we receive the applications. Then we send it out to college contacts who then disseminate it out to reviewers. We receive the scores, we then review the scores, and then make determinations of who to fund based on scores and all of that. So that's why the timeline's sooner. I would suggest is that Cindy will send a reminder to reviewers that the deadline was earlier, and so that they might want to take that into consideration for renewals. Is that might not as much might have been accomplished by the time of deadline, but that does not mean that more wasn't accomplished after deadline. And so we'll send them a little reminder about that. I think that what's most important with the renewals is speaking to what has been accomplished and how the renewal will help you to continue new work or will continue deepening the project. And so I've noticed it varies by field and by college. Some fields and colleges may not like that you're saying, I'm doing the same thing. Some fields and colleges may like that because they're like, that's depth, right? They're like, you have to keep doing the same thing. So it really varies by field. And so we don't like to say it's only one way because our reviewers are usually your colleagues in your college. And so we don't want to tell you one way or the other. So I would just say, you make the best case knowing your field. Is this a field that's about ongoing, showing that this is depth, and that is what should be fundable. I think the other thing that I tend to encourage is that for renewals is that dissemination. At that point, the student really should be thinking about dissemination opportunities with their faculty mentors. So I encourage that, whether it's presenting at a conference or it is, helping to draft a paper or helping, maybe it doesn't need to be the whole paper. We know that they vary in their skill sets with writing. And so it just depends on the faculty team and how you might take that approach with writing. So yeah, great question. Other questions coming up for folks? So one of the things we did share some resources. I do want to emphasize if something comes up with your student and you are concerned, please do not hesitate to reach out to the office. We really do want to support you and your mentees. We see everything as educational and really our goal is to make it the most supported partnership between you and your mentee. Sometimes mentors or mentees may have to determine that the best decision is separation. And so if that happens, do lean on the office if you want support for that, as well as, or if you want to take some steps to kind of recover the student, help the student think about how do I, okay, I missed work for 2 weeks and I forgot to tell my mentor that I was out in a hospital or sick, right? Something like that. So really encourage, see us as a resource. If your mentee is living on campus, we do wellness checks if that is needed as well. And so just want you to know that we really do want to support you and your mentees. So I'm going to go back to moving us through. And so does no other questions? If you have questions, just go ahead and pop it in. But we just want to say the worst thing won't happen, but sometimes it does. And you should know that we're here to support you. So, and it varies. I'm just going to say in the years that I've been in this role, the case scenario from work injury on the job to Title IX to space questions about a desk where if a student has a desk and all of that has come up. So lean on us if you have questions. We're here to support both of you. We're not here to take any sides. We also know that there's other resources for our mentees as well. And so when those are appropriate, we can also support you in referring them on if needed. So one thing I do want to make sure you know about is our summer programming, is that the education series is all live. Your students are required to attend 2 of these events. We have 2 Title IX for students because some summer research does require that they have to have that as part of their grants. That's why there's those more options for that in the summer. But there's a range of opportunities from ethics and research, data visualization and research posters. That is a popular one. We really do like to offer that one pretty regularly because it helps students prepare for the undergraduate research symposium, and a range of other really cool ones, even the NSF Graduate Research Fellowship. I know, folks, NSF is a little wonky these days, and we're very concerned for the shifts and cuts that are happening at NSF. But while there are opportunities there, we will continue to encourage our students to apply for them. So I just wanted you to know about that. The Graduate School Mini Expo, I heard lots of mentees who are interested in PhD, MDs, JDs. We even just got an email about a student who got into a JD program. We encourage you to attend, to encourage your mentee to attend this Graduate School Mini Expo. It is actually open to any student at the U. And so we encourage that of our undergraduates, especially those doing research, because it is programmed to keep them in mind. How do they think about they're doing research? Now they're interested in graduate school. And so we'll have a bunch of tabling, a keynote, as well as workshops that are happening. It's only a half day, so it won't eat into a chunk of that research time and all of that if they're working on other things. So encourage your mentees, and this will be shared afterwards. Cindy will share this information later. One thing I really want to remind our faculty about is the undergraduate research scholar designation. This shows up in the student's transcript. They have to apply for it. No one gets anything in life automatically. And for some reason, our mentees are under the impression that it just shows up because they did 2 semesters of research. It absolutely does not show up. You have to apply for it. They just have to do 2 semesters of undergraduate research. We don't tell you what kind of research it is. It could be independent. It could be an internship. It could be volunteer research. It could be coursework with you. It could also be UROP. It could be SPUR. It could be all of the above, right? We're not telling you what it is. It's just 2 semesters of research with a faculty mentor. They have to present at the Office of Undergraduate Research Symposium and submit to Range. This doesn't mean publish. They need to submit because some of our mentors have proprietary relationships to their data. And so when they submit something, sometimes they're like, wait, you can't publish that. So we don't want our students to be penalized for that. So I really want to remind you about this. It shows up in their transcripts. It looks good for on the market and graduate school. But also Cindy says what's a huge sell for some of them is they get a little cord. And so maybe they just want more cords and decorations when they graduate. There we go. Here you go. You earned it, right? And your students are almost there. So they are almost there just by participating in UROP. So we encourage you to have your mentees submit for that. The Undergraduate Research Symposium this summer is not required if your student is not graduating this summer or fall. And so they can do it before they graduate, but it is a really fun one. Last summer, we had 250 undergraduate researchers from 94 different universities presenting at our Undergraduate Research Symposium. Summer Symposium is the most institutionally diverse. Spring Symposium is 100% U of U. It is not students from other universities. Range is not required for your students, but we encourage you to submit your students to submit an abstract, working paper, or research reflection. It is required for the designation, and faculty are, which you as mentors would be required to review the submission before it goes in. If you don't receive it, just kick us an email and say, I did not receive it. I got this automated email. What is it? We can always tell you what it is. And just so you know, there's resources available from Funding Fridays. If your students are applying for the June 5th, they can always drop into Funding Fridays, 1 to 2 p.m. by Zoom. If they'd like support on their application or feedback loop from a peer or staff, as well as if they are doing IRB, our IRB will resume in the fall. And so we just want you to also know, though, that your students can always reach out for mentoring or not mentoring, but support from an OUR team member by scheduling research advising, not to be confused with academic advising. We do not do that. We only do supportive research advising, which we're not doing research with them. We're just helping to resource them. So it's more like research coaching, but we weren't allowed to rename it because somebody's proprietary relationship to coaching. So we had to call it just what it is. We've never changed the name. So that is the presentation slides, folks. Here's more about the office. Please do encourage others to sign up for our listserv to receive regular updates. You do not need to be the conduit for sharing information. You can always share the information with others. But without further ado, we'll just go ahead and pause there and see if there's any other questions. And Cindy can start record.